Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome members to this meeting of the Economy, Infrastructure and Communities Overview and Scrutiny Committee today on Thursday the 23rd, 2025 at 2 p.m. I now invite Jacob to give the apologies.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Committee. We've received apologies from Councillor Bagley and Councillor Griffiths.
Are there any declarations of interest? Thank you. I resolve that the minutes of the meeting held on Thursday the 25th of September 2025 be confirmed as a correct record and signed by the Chair. Could I invite someone to move this motion, please? Thank you. And second? Thank you. I'll now go on to item 4 of the agenda, Staffordshire County Council's Economic Strategy Delivery, 6-month update, and I'd like to invite Cabinet Member Martin Murray, Councillor Martin Murray, to present, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so this, where am I starting now? It's in summary, isn't it? So this is supporting the growth of Staffordshire's economy, which remains a key objective for this new administration. I'm on the right part, aren't I? Yes. So economic priorities for achieving this ambition. The emerging priorities are set out within this report. This is intended to provide an opportunity for members of the committee to consider the priorities at an early stage. In their development, feedback from the committee will be considered when finalising the economic strategy and priorities over the coming months. Whilst our economy strategy is being reviewed and developed further, activity has continued, and the report also provides the committee with an opportunity to consider recent highlights and recommend further activity which is believed would support the delivery of the emerging priorities. Monitoring the County Council's performance in support of the economic growth will be vital to ensure we achieve our ambitions, and the committee has an important role in scrutinising the performance. I'm going through all this, aren't I? Yes. Following the elections in May 2025, considerations have been given to the County Council's existing economic strategy and the emerging economic priorities and authorities' new administration. This work is ongoing, but the emerging high-level economic priorities are set out within the report for consideration and comments at this early stage. However, whilst the County Council continues to consider its priorities, this has not in any way meant that the work has ceased. A great deal of activity continues to progress and support the growth of Staffordshire's economy. Some of these key areas of activity are also set out within the report for consideration. Emerging economic priorities. We remain committed to positioning Staffordshire as a thriving, future-ready county, a magnet for investment, innovation and inclusive growth, where people choose to live, work, visit and prosper. It's in the beating heart of the country. In order to achieve this ambition, the authority is reviewing its economic priorities. Whilst these remain work in progress, the emerging high-level priorities are set out below for consideration by the committee. Place, promotion and investment attractions. To raise our game to promote Staffordshire's identity as the beating heart of the country, to attract investors, visitors and bring back thriving local communities. Vibrant towns and visitor economy, revitalising town centres and grow their visitor economy, supporting the daytime, evening and nighttime economy. Infrastructure and corridor growth to unlock growth along strategic corridors, especially the 5500 and the Central Edge in South Staffordshire. Talent, skills and inclusive growth. It's to tackle that brain drain that Staffordshire has suffered from and empower residents with the skills they need for better paid jobs. With the enterprise and innovation in urban and rural areas, supporting entrepreneurship and the economic development across our county, collaborating with partners to deliver increased levels of innovation activity within both our innovative institutions and businesses itself. Many of these priorities align to the authority's existing economic strategy, although it is expected that there will be a change in focus of activity when delivery plans are developed. Several priorities for activity have already been identified and will be reported through future updates to the committee, whilst recommendations for further activity will help to deliver the Council's priorities will be welcomed. Recent highlights, while the new economic priorities of the County Council are under review, projects have continued to be delivered at pace. To enable growth of the Staffordshire economy, we've recently set out the preferred options of local government reorganisation, which, as well as devolution, has the potential to fundamentally change how all services and programmes referenced within this report are delivered. The reduction in the number of organisations and boundaries has the potential to simplify delivery and responsibility, which may benefit businesses who can struggle to understand the existing complexities of governance structures. However, regardless of how LGR progresses, we will not let this slow down our ambition for the growth of the Staffordshire economy, with several key areas of activity and recent highlights set out within the rest of this report. The visitor economy is one of Staffordshire's key strengths, and we continue to support the development of this vital part of the county's economy. Recently published figures showed that the Staffordshire visitor economy is now valued at £2.7 billion. That's a 30% increase compared to pre-pandemic levels. In 2024, around 37 million visits were made to the county, with 4 million overnight stays. And visitors spend helping to support around 26,000 jobs. Staffordshire attractions, hotels, restaurants already make the county a hugely attractive place to visit and stay, although we want to go further in our efforts to promote the county and develop and enhance what we have. We will continue to recognise and promote our tourist businesses. 14 of our businesses have been part of a National Visit England Award of Excellence held in Brighton in June. Kiel University's events and conference teams won Gold in Business Events Venues of the Year Award, whilst World of Wedgwood won Silver in the International Tourism Award, highlighting the calibre of business we have in the county and the continued recognition on the national stage. Building upon this success story, it is key priority by driving and promoting Staffordshire's out-of-home and out-of-business leisure activities, with the ultimate aim of making Staffordshire England's playground. Events such as the Live Golf Tournament took place at JCB Golf and Country Club at the end of July, contributed significantly to continued growth of our visitor economy. This year, 43,000 fans attended the event, up from 37,000 in 2024. The ticket buyers come from 35 different countries. Such was the success of the Live Golf, and JCB have already confirmed that this event will take place again next year. Staffordshire Day took place at the beginning of May, and the packed calendar of events was held over the weekend, including the Great British Food Festival at the Trentham Estates, Staffordshire Moorlands Walking Festival, and the Tulip Festival at Low Drayton Farm. The National Memorial Arboretum also plays a key role in the country's VE and VJ celebrations, hosting events to mark 8 decades since the end of the Second World War, highlighting Staffordshire's key role in celebrating and remembering our armed forces. In July, we launched Screen Staffordshire, the county's first film office. Will bring more film and television activities to the county. Screen Staffordshire will bring a great level of filming on locations and the potential to secure significant benefits to the area, with productions often investing heavily in local services and local businesses. It's of course vital that Staffordshire County Council plays its part in supporting the creation of new jobs within the county, and ensuring that Staffordshire is the best place for business to invest is a priority. Over the coming years, we're going to see the continued development of the landmark West Midlands Interchange Scheme in South Staffordshire, which is estimated will bring 8,500 jobs to the county. Recently, Carlsberg Brickvic have announced as the first occupier, and the company will invest 4 million in its new depot site. Carlsberg Brickvic has already committed over 6 million upgrading its brewery in Burton, and this shows the company's ongoing commitment to the county of Staffordshire's confidence of the business to invest in Staffordshire. No, I'm reading the whole lot of this, yeah.
You don't have to,
No,
just pick
no.
up some highlights.
We have a lot of that. I mean, JCB have just invested another 100 million development in the hydrogen engine, hydrogen-powered equipment, which is a potential to transform agriculture and construction industries. It's a huge growth prospect. We carry on. Three of the Staffordshire companies have been recently recognised through the 2025 King's Award for Enterprise. Sorry, I've just jumped a little bit here. So the Chancellor took an opportunity to visit one of these companies recently, Cosy Direct, as part of the launch of the government's trade strategy. Cosy Direct supplies education resources for schools and nurseries. It employs 110 people and sells over 6,000 products. Its overseas business has risen to 3.2 million this year. It shows the importance that Staffordshire has when we get visits like this to highlight local companies, start-up companies that have grown to such levels. And since the County Council, so we're working alongside Stoke-on-Trent's Council. It's really important with our Staffordshire Growth Hub, and it's continued to grow from strength to strength with investments, resource teams across our whole county and the city of Stoke. These programmes include people to start to grow their business programmes, continue to smash targets with 240 business support so far this year. We have an extension on the Business Energy Advice Service with an extra 1 million added to that investment. We have changed our LED lighting across all of our street lights and heating upgrades. I mean, Stafford Rangers did a great example of the BEAS scheme with all their floodlights, and that saved them over £3,000 per year just from one project. Our farms, our small technology pilot farms, which took to support improved crop storage, water measurements and livestock monitoring. I mean, our rural communities is a key essence to this new county council. Our farming, as many of you know, is an important factor for us all and all our villages throughout the county. We've continued to support economic growth and the creation of jobs within Staffordshire, but it's equally important that we have the skills needed to take advantage of both the current and future job opportunities. An important delivery Staffordshire recently is the Institute of Technology, the IoT in Staffordshire, which officially opened its doors to its first-time learners in September. The IoT is led by the Newcastle and Stafford College Group, which are amongst the highest performing further education providers in the country. In partnership with several other skill providers and private sector organisations, this ensures the IoT to provide the high-quality technical skills that are needed across several priority sectors, including advanced manufacturing, modern methods of construction, digital technology and health sciences. We have recently taken back control of the Leek College from the University of Derby, and that will again have a further 1 million invested to upgrade its classrooms and resources. The South Staffordshire College campus in Tamworth has recently just opened its doors as well after it's moved into the town centre. Our economy growth activity primarily relates to the support Staffordshire economy growth to help the economy grow, generating more and better paid jobs, strategic plan priorities and all the association priorities. However, supporting economic growth cuts across all our priorities with increased prosperity in the county and the potential to have positive impacts on residents' health, their safety and their happiness. Community impact, the global, national and local economic events continue to have a potential to affect some demographic groups and locations more than others. Although this situation that evolves rapidly and with some uncertainty, we continue to prioritise ensure all residents can gain high value, better paid employment and produce a monthly income bulletin, provided live evidence base to monitor the state of the local economy and allowing the County Council to respond accordingly. I'll open up to yourselves.
Thank you for that, Councillor Murray. Just before I put it out for questions, I think that the scrutiny focus on this is, made some notes here, alignment of new priorities with the existing strategy, impact of the LGR, role of innovation in rural areas, and skills, infrastructure and talent retention. And I was just wondering, actually, Councillor Murray, if you could just give us a little bit more information on what actions are going to be taken regarding skills, infrastructure and talent retention.
A lot of this is all interconnected. So the skills comes up next. Our colleges are doing immense work, but they are oversubscribed. They're full. We are putting a project together to hopefully raise a considerable amount of money to expand our colleges across the county for all areas to fulfil and expand our colleges to gain more pupil access. On the next agenda, we have Get Britain Working Programme, a central government-led programme initiative to help those out of work, the NEETs, those with health care conditions, age-related as well as the young. It will help everybody to bring them up and get them into work where they're willing to do so. To gain the investment structure on some of these huge projects we have across this county, these companies will only come if they know they have the employment workforce readily available for them. So these skills will be essential for them. I've actually spoken to every college in our county, and they are more than willing to adjust their courses to suit these new global companies that are looking to come here. Within the economic strategy, we have major sites going on. In the North Junction 16, Chatterley Park, that follows straight away alongside going to the east along the Ceramic Valley. This has huge potential with the enterprise parks. The Chatterley Enterprise Park is really big, huge park with some great investments already coming in there, straight off Junction 16. We then come down to the I-54, which is near enough full, and then we have the Central Edge coming right the way across, and work is well under the way just off the A5 of the West Midlands Interchange, which will be Europe's largest rail hub. It is a huge, vast site. Carlsberg's already come on there, as we mentioned earlier. The employment level and the people who come there will need the skills, they will need the workforce, we must provide it. And then of course we're just on development on the 5500. We're going to put a real big package together for this, to fill it, to sell it, to make sure it goes into that high level of business that comes to the area. This brings corridors covering the whole of the county, not just parts of it. This links the whole area and actually gives a workforce for the whole area. We're covering all four corners here, and it will really benefit. It will bring huge investment. The business rates in some of these areas are already secured going forward, which will help reinvest and be secured in the area. This will be regardless of whichever mapping or future local government reorganisation and devolution comes forwards. The investment is being secured. We must make sure that we stick together and without politicising. So we encourage these businesses to come without favour, just because it's good. And it's one of the most important things that some of you know right from the very start. I came up with the title, The Beating Heart of the Country. We have to sell Staffordshire as the place you go to, not drive through. This sale, this place marketing, place making, that name will bring the bigger companies in. This will inspire our next generations to get the qualification, the skills, because you do not always need high-level education, degrees and masters to earn a really, really good wage. And then we have two amazing universities, and I have to give a shout out to Keele, because some of their courses is global leading, as in the best in the world. The Keele Science Park is literally leading the world with arthritis, production of medical supplies for arthritis. They're about to do a new research program on hydrogen, where they'll be generating hydrogen, storing it, and then transporting it into small vehicles, cars. The whole cycle of hydrogen. That research starts early next year out of Keele. I had that update yesterday at a Chamber of Commerce event with lots of businesses. It's exciting times for Staffordshire. We have some really, really good programmes. We have some amazing colleges in every single area. We have fantastic universities. We've got some great skills. Another topic in today with Get Britain Working, which will bring up and include everybody within our county. The only thing it lacks for the whole world to know how great this county is. That's the only thing lacking. It literally is the only thing lacking, because we have everything right now lined up to be good. And a lot of this stuff has been going on for years. There's a lot more things coming on. 5,500 we're going to do really big. The early new year, we're at UK Reef event where we have global businesses and companies all that, and we'll be doing a big sell of Staffordshire at that next year.
Councillor Bentley.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Martin. Absolutely brilliant. I'll just bring you to the... Oh, you've moved my sheet around. It's the 5,500. I live in Cheadle, and we've got a business park in Cheadle that if you get off the A50, come down the 500, get on the A50, it sends you down what we call a D road. And I'm constantly phoning up the Highway Authority, and we seem to be doing a little bit of a piecemeal look at it. So the local department doesn't think it's going to be part of the infrastructure for the business park. So I'd appreciate if we can get somebody to look at that sort of side of it for me. So you've got the local businesses trying, but as the wagons or whatever, the deliveries come off the A500, they've met with this D road that's not fit for purpose. And we have in the past, the county council has in the past, bought parts of it to widen it, and it's never happened. So the plan was there and it's got forgot. So if you could take that up with me, that'd be great. Thank you.
The wider infrastructure programme is part of the 5,500 project. It looks at all those. We even looked at it was brought up at a meeting in House of Commons earlier this week by MP Jacob Collier. He even brought up McDonald's Island. Yes. A poor design from the start that JCB and other large companies have been moaning about for some years now. We are really going to put a big package together again for this. And our officers here have done so much work, and I cannot praise them enough for their efforts and work, the connections they have been doing on this. We're going to sell the sizzle on this one. We're going to really hit it global level, get that big investment, because we need private investment as well as public money to make this work. That project is coming. It's being developed right now, and I'm excited by it.
Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, given our focus of making Staffordshire a centre of innovation and investment, does the Council have a procurement policy or approach that prioritises the purchase of or leasing of British-made or locally sourced products wherever practical?
It actually does have that. We do try to source locally first. It's not always possible. One of the side projects we're looking at building a database up just for that purpose, help with the local visitor economy and supply chain. That's in the very early stage right now, so I hope at a future scrutiny update on economy I'll have better news on that one for the smaller companies. But at the large ones, yes, they already do look for local level first wherever possible.
I'm a bit of a stickler for performance management. So I mean, would it be possible then to present the committee with data of that, a proportion of our procurement spend kind of going forward? I mean, it's okay saying it, and I get it, but actually doing it and proving it is something else.
Yeah, that can be supplied, but I think that would actually come under the corporate committee being informed at. So we're going to message over to those and bring that up. But that evidence is there, can be shown. And through scrutiny, if we can highlight that even more and make it even stronger, all the better for Staffordshire. I always want stuff for Staffordshire, as I think everybody knows here. I've been shouting about it since long before I even decided to stand and take this role. But you're quite correct. And the more we use it, the more we expand with all these huge projects, the more companies will be here for us to use Staffordshire homegrown products. You know, a Staffordshire first, if you will. But remember, it's always about Britain first as well. It's not just ours. We share services all over. You know, we never forget our neighbours, whether it be in Cheshire, Warwickshire, Derbyshire, Shropshire. We all work together. One of the great statements from when I was there for the launch of Junction 16 Chatterley Park. Their commuter caption area was 3 million people to fill that place. That's their business model. 3 million people to come for a commuter caption area. That's a lot of people, a lot of money coming into Staffordshire. And this is where we need to be grabbing and selling the Staffordshire more, because that brings wealth to everybody and prosperity to everybody and will hopefully show. If you can send a note over to corporate scrutiny, maybe under there we can show the evidence to be brought up of where these procurement places go and highlight it, and maybe we can get some comms on that as well to prove it.
Councillor Wildman.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you very much for the paper. It reads to me, it's quite brief, and it reads to me less like an update, but more about setting out an emerging strategy, I suppose, to reform the strategy that already exists. And there are, within the report, a number of emerging priorities, A to E. Now, when I think about Burton-on-Trent, which is the area that I represent, the thing that hits me is that we don't have enough high-skilled jobs to generate higher wages, and which then those people can spend in the economy, and then we can get a more mixed economy within that town. Our brewing industry has, you know, in terms of headcount, has reduced from, say, 10,000 to, I don't know, a lot less. So the economy is changing rapidly. What I don't see in these emerging priorities is necessarily any analysis about sectors that you may want to pursue. Let's say, I'm not saying that you build a nuclear reactor in Burton, but nuclear SMR reactors, data centres, which is connected to AI, green technology, hydrogen, etc. Now, I know hydrogen's been mentioned. What it'd be interesting, I think, to see is what your views are on trying to focus on those key sectors to try and create the high-skilled jobs that I think that Burton so badly needs. Thank you.
I totally agree, and if you've heard any of my business and Staffordshire economic updates, every single time I make that point. We do have above average employment rates throughout Staffordshire, but we also have well below average the average wage. It's a low-skilled employment basis, and that does need to change. Now, a lot of these projects and some of the stuff that we are really working on is to get that high end, the agri-tech, into these new developments. The hydrogen highway, which 5500 was originally built at, A lot of these projects take years. There have been many years in the planning and procurement and then delivery, and some are still just started, like the West Midlands interchange. It brings in, and we have to sell that, and that's why the skill side is so hard, why it's so important. And it's so important that we sell that and we make everybody aware of that, because now those high-tech companies will come. So the point I made earlier, that unless they know the workforce is there for them, they'll look elsewhere. And we're making sure that's in straight away at the beginning. We're going out to these large corporate events like UK Reef to see these consultant companies, the global businesses that are there to really sell Staffordshire. The officers are reaching out and going into meetings and down into London and Westminster quite often and selling Staffordshire for us to bring that higher end quality jobs that brings up our whole economy and inspires the future generations. Do you know what? This is a good place to live. I'm going to do well at school, and I do not need a degree to be really successful. All I need is skills, and skills is what we can really work on in this county through all our colleges, as well as the high-end qualifications through our universities. It's in the plans, it's coming on forward, which is one of the big points we're pushing. We must raise the game on the employment levels and the jobs and the companies to what they deliver in Staffordshire.
Yeah, and one of the examples I'll give as to what I'm saying is that there was a project with fusion reactors, right, which was given to a town called West Burton, actually, which is only a couple of hours away. And I remember having conversations with various people, and we didn't, as a county, bid for that. We said probably we don't have the capacity to do it or whatever. I'm looking for some reassurance that under your leadership, you will look for every single opportunity that government presents or any opportunity that private sector presents to bring that those high-skilled jobs into this county.
I hope you've got my intent already from that. It's funny you mentioned about the nuclear pod reactors. The fusion technology that's being researched, and obviously to have data banks use huge amounts of energy. So we need more energy in those nuclear pods that have just started in Wales. Funny enough, actually, at the conference, met up with 2 companies that do just that. It is on the horizon, very, very early days. This needs government backing at every level. It's huge, but yeah, that ambition, that art of the possible, it's in there. We're looking at it. It's only been a few months, but we're already having very early conversations on such things. So I'm hoping in the coming months, we start putting proposals forward, lobbying movements to go to Westminster for some of these, and these large projects should start very soon, hearing some very big, well-known names coming to this county that never would have normally have looked at us. And that will bring that wages up, bring skills up, and inspire people to want to do better. Brings every single level of our communities up. Health, lowers crime, makes people happier, the vibrancy, the social cohesion. I mean, how many buzzwords do we need to use? It's good for everybody.
Anybody else? Councillor Baker.
Thank you. Just a question about the West Midlands interchange, as this is right on my boundary of my division. And I've been to the project myself, been around it, been showed it, and I'm just wondering, what are we doing in supporting them in the future? And also, do we have a local transport plan for the for like my area and the areas around it, so people who like don't have cars can actually work there in the future? Is that planning going to everything? Just more details on that, please.
Yeah, the transport for workforce is actually built in the original plan for this. The work, I've been there a couple of times now, been all round, the work they're doing, the consideration for the community they're doing with their parks as well, that they're building on site, where they're going to change the road structure. They've built a little bypass. They haven't forced a bypass. They've actually built an extra road for you to go through to cause less traffic problems. I was actually with IMP Josh Newbury for Cannock the other week on another matter, and on about how they will need to enforce on the A5 going forward. That comes under central government highways funding. These are already in. This is huge. This is global lead in this place. Middle needs to change. We all need to work together. The benefits for everybody is huge. We've got to grab it. We just don't. We don't want the wealth just travelling through us on big trucks. We need it stopping off in our county, bringing the jobs there. And that's the encouragement. These are the highways that we're on about, these connecting structures that I mentioned right at the very beginning. With your 5500, Ceramic Valley, Junction 16s, all of our enterprise parks that exist, our thousands of small businesses that do the supply chain, that secondary marketplace. It encourages the big business to come in. It brings up everybody. It's in there, and that's where I'll use a JCB saying it's a sort of grabbed hold everybody. We will sell the sizzle.
Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Portfolio Holder, for the report. I think it shows that Staffordshire economy has bounced back after the COVID upset and the energy crisis, but I think we'd all agree we're entering another phase now of a government that are making policies to tax out enterprise and innovation, which is going to have a rebound effect upon this county and all of the good work that we've been doing for many years. So I think you need to reflect that in your strategy. One thing I would say on the back of what Conor just said about having those skilled jobs, and we want those in the county, but we'll need that skilled workforce to be able to take those jobs. And we've got a brilliant college in Newcastle-under-Lyme, of course, in Newcastle College, which has also got its campus in Stafford as well. And we know that they have to expand and make more capacity for more students to come on board so they can train for the courses that will give us these skills for these jobs. And I'm sure you'd agree with me and support that we have that expansion in Newcastle where the demand is and not in Stafford, because I think what we need to do is make the courses available to as near as possible to those that we want to do the course, and that is the people of North Staffordshire and around there, both in Staffordshire Moorlands, whether it's Stoke or whether it's in Newcastle itself. It serves the whole of the north, doesn't it, the college? So anything you can do to help us to ensure that the college expands in Newcastle and doesn't use any spare capacity in Stafford, which would, I think, be prohibitive for kids and young people from the north to have to travel to Stafford for college courses. We want them to have those skills so they can go for these new job opportunities opening up, as you said, in Chatterley Valley, hopefully around Junction 16 when the St Modwyn development takes place there, and also in our town centre in Newcastle with all the development that's going in place, jobs, homes and all sorts of things. So I'd like to see homegrown talent and homegrown skills, and I don't think we'll get that if they have to travel too far. Thank you.
Yeah, that is basically the heart of everything we're trying to do. I've spent a lot of time in these recent months in Newcastle with their town centre developments, with the college, with the huge developments that have been going on there. It's an amazing town. I mean, I mentioned earlier this morning about the community hub that Newcastle has. It's a great model to follow. The kill in the town, to bring in the skills of the university into the town centre that helps progress that high street. These connections we need. Does need better transport. We know this. It has done for the whole country does. Taxation is something we do not have control over at the moment, but these large projects is bringing in huge wealth. And as you say, we are looking at the expansion model for all of our colleges, packages coming together. Newcastle is key for that, as is Stafford, as is South Stafford, as is East Stafford, as is the Moorlands, and as is Stoke City. And I will not forget my hometown of Cannock in that, a college I actually went to myself. They have skills. Let's give them more skills to get higher paid jobs. And these colleges are all more than willing to fit in and change courses to what these large companies will require. And that's great partnership.
Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for letting me come back. We met a gentleman on Friday last week. I just can't think of his title, but technically he works for the Moorlands, and they were looking at bringing a few more grey areas in the place to develop houses. Unfortunately, some of the areas he was picking was actually employment sites. So they were downgrading employment sites for houses to meet the new targets. And I did mention to him about that A50 in the corridor on the road I've just mentioned earlier. And also he needs to be allocating industrial land as well to go alongside these houses. And I just felt there wasn't a very great connection between the houses idea, the industrial idea, and the county council and the district council working together with a plan. So going forward, I wouldn't mind speaking to one of the officers to introduce and see if we could speed that process up. We were doing a buzz strategy, but we hadn't asked them, and I just felt like we weren't quite connected as well as I'd like us to be connected. So obviously it's learning curve, but I think going forward we could do that, but I think we do need to work with the districts until the new system comes in place, if it comes in place.
Yeah, as you mentioned at the end, that is a local planning issue. The county council does the bigger projects, as you know. I'm speaking quite regularly with the Moreland District Council. I have a meeting with them next week with their town centre generation funding. They are looking at some of those sites. I'll have further detail after that meeting. It is on the agenda. I am working very closely and happily with those councillors on those developments. It is on the agenda. They have brought it up before, and we look forward to working in partnership to generate and bring those links in together.
Any more questions? Thank you. We'll move now on to item 5 of the agenda, Get Britain Working Plan. And I invite Councillor Murray to give the presentation, please.
Yeah, thank you. This is the Get Staffordshire Stoke-on-Trent Working Plan, proposed to provide an overview of the development and direction of the local Get Britain Working, GBW, plan for the Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, in line with the national ambition to achieve an 80% employment rate and address labour market disparities. Key recommendations to the Leaders Board to endorse the approach and progression made in developing the GBW plan. Approve the priorities and the initial actions proposed. The strategic contents. The Get Britain Working Plans are central to the government's ambition for a thriving, inclusive labour market. It's to work alongside with the local authorities, must address the issues and participation, the progression, earnings and job quality. Plans must align with local business structures, local growth strategies, integrated care plans, emerging policies on skills, industry and development. All the things we've just been speaking about on the previous item. The labour markets are a challenge. To achieve 80% employment requires 11,000 plus additional residents in work. It's potential up to a tenfold more to address disparities. The systematic issues include the high-level economic inactivity due to ill health, the rising NEET, that's neither in education, employment or training rates among young people, the mental health challenges in the workplace, the employment gaps for older workers, disabled people and women, especially women. Some have actually done some work on previously the nighttime economy. When they tend to miss out early if they start a family, and they miss out when they reach middle age again. They tend to fall off and feel left out. Really, really so wrong. I did some work with that with the nighttime economy a few years ago, so I understand it quite well. The skills shortages and the regional disparities that we do have. Local ambition is to increase employment rate to over 80%, hopefully. It's to reduce unemployment and the underemployment, to tackle economic inactivity, especially among the young people. Those who want to work, but they face those barriers to entry. Now, the priority actions over the next 12 to 24 months to deliver Connect to Work, CTW programme. This is a 19 million investment to support at first 5,300 people. We'll engage the stakeholders, local authorities, Job Centre Plus, health leaders. We established government steering groups with county, city, borough, district councils, with the ICB, that's the Integrated Care Body, and with DWP, Department of Work and Pensions. Stakeholders will be mapping and engaging, including employer and service users' voices. The consultation plan, the stakeholder summit, and the groups like the young and disabled and the health. Service mapping and review, supporting the needs, the economically inactive and the vulnerable groups. Review employer engagement and strategies towards a unified approach. Collaborate with the LSIP and employers to align skills development with job opportunities. Again, a point I raised earlier with our skills. To improve the labour market intelligence, to monitor, impact and address inequalities. So the next steps will be to finalise and publish the Get Better Working Plan. That has now been produced to drive system-wide engagement across work, health and skills sectors, establish long-term strategy and funding mechanisms, monitor and evaluate progression to ensure co-production and inclusivity. Again, it's a fantastic work Anthony's been doing on. We've had quite a few meetings on this. Going forward, this could really help a lot of people. And again, the only guidance I've given, the only slight steer on this, because it really has been put together excellently, is to have that higher engagement, so that shout out, to have a stronger voice, because then we can pull people in rather than push them into these courses. Far too often these courses fail because they go to a health professional, a employment careers place, and they say, right, you're going there. And because they're downtrodden, feel unwanted, have those barriers to entry, never really felt belonging, they go into it, it's not really for them and they fail. So the only steer I've said, we need to really hit the comms on this big, and we will pull people in, because there are so many out there that will go, whether it's themselves, their parents, their friends, and say, there's a course for you. I know you're interested in that. We'll pull them in. Not all, but a few, and that will really inspire them to come through. There's some great projects in this. Just been doing contracts to Hubicuital. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of taxpayers' money. It may be central government, but it's still taxpayers' money. And every penny of this counts, and every job it generates counts. And the benefits, it's far more than just what economic benefits, the long-term health benefits, the societal benefits, the reduction of cost to healthcare, to crime, to society itself is immense by worth. You know, if you're economically inactive, no job, your health deteriorates. Your likelihood to turn to crime and antisocial behaviour increases. This has a double whammy of helping everything, your economy, your community, your area, and the health of the nation. It's a good programme, something I fully support, and Anthony and his team have done a lot of work on this, and I would like to think that we're going to outperform on this one. Maybe I'll have to questions.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. I just want to apologise to the committee. I forgot to actually read out the recommendations and do the get somebody to actually move the motion. So if we can go back to, before we carry on with this, if we can go back to page 13 on the pack. And I'll propose that these recommendations be, or should I say, these recommendations must be moved and seconded. So can I invite someone to move this motion, please? Thank you. And second? Thank you. So yeah, I think from a scrutiny focus on Get Britain working, probably the scrutiny focus we should be looking at delivery mechanisms and accountability. Also the integration with the local skills improvement plan, health and local growth plans, effectiveness of the Connect to Work scheme, and long-term funding and system change. Has anybody got any questions? Councillor Bentley?
When I was growing up in Cheadle, luckily there was a lot of manufacturing in the area. Thomas Bolton's one of the oldest copper factories. But what we also had in our town, it's where the new police station is now, was a local job centre that you was encouraged to go to if you was unfortunate to be unemployed. And during my career at Thomas Bolton's, I ended up a team leader, and some years we wanted more people than we did the year before, so we'd go to the job centre and they'd send people up for interviews and one thing or another. It just seems a bit distant now, and I was wondering if there's anything in place where we could look at the job centre idea. And I was only talking to a gentleman yesterday who was encouraged to do it online instead of going to visit the job centre, and I felt like it was distancing him, and he was more of an hands-on gentleman who seemed to be struggling with the idea of doing everything online instead of physically going to see somebody. It was just an observation that it might help on keeping people working. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have Job Centre Plus is obviously taken out from what the Job Centre was, but we also have the County Jobs and Careers, where these people can actually speak to a real person again in Staffordshire. So we push that forward. Are there any more extra details, Anthony, you'd like to add to that one?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. A couple of things really that sort of impact on this, both from a national policy perspective and local, what we've been developing and doing in Staffordshire. So the Get Britain Working Plan and the white paper that was published, setting out that 80% ambition to achieve that employment rate across the country and equalise some of the disparities, also includes another raft of measures that will be introduced nationally. So we've already talked about Connect to Work a bit in the opening briefing, but the key change is recognising the pivotal role job centres play in helping and supporting people to find work. So the government from 1st of October next year will merge the National Careers Service, which is basically arm's length contracted careers advice for people into the job centres. So there's 1,000 careers advisors moving into local job centres for next October. So that will strengthen that link with people looking for work and finding that careers advice. Locally in Staffordshire, we recognised that gap some years ago, particularly in the pandemic, and job centres have traditionally been about, call it off-roll, in moving people either off benefits or to reduce their requirements on benefits by either working more hours or upskilling to move into better careers. We during the pandemic, where people were looking for that extra career support, we created something called Staffordshire Jobs and Careers Service, and that's both a digital and a physical service that we offer out through our employment brokers. And that service provides a digital platform that enables people to go and search for any job in the whole of Staffordshire, any training opportunity or any apprenticeship that's available live. It's real time. There's also a whole suite of labour market information in there, tells you about different careers and sectors in there. And there is a opportunity to contact in and ask for more job support from one of our employment brokers. And our employment brokers and the team work with businesses who are growing or investment or in teams in the period's restructuring. So we have a handle into what vacancies are available in the labour market, so we're able to match people up. And if they're not ready for work, we have something called Open Door, where we have a work experience programme, and we offer work experience opportunities not just in the county council or supply chain, but we'll also go and find people work experience opportunities with different businesses as well. So we develop that service, and that's growing, and that supports people, you know, in wanting that extra support in finding work, but also links it to real-time job opportunities as well. So it is there, and if you're not ready for work, you can actually get additional support to actually enable you to work. So yes, so both the local and national developments taking place around that.
Any questions? Any more questions? No? Okay. I'd like to propose that the recommendations, that somebody moves the motion, please, for recommendation. And seconded. Thank you. Now move on to item 6 of the agenda, digital infrastructure in Staffordshire update. And invite Councillor Murray again, please, to provide the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually standing in for Councillor Andrew Miners. Unfortunately, he can't be here today. So I'll be doing the digital infrastructure for today. So the Staffordshire County Council Digital Infrastructure Programme aims to deliver 100% gigabit capable broadband coverage across the county, supporting economic growth, digital inclusion and improved public services. The target for full coverage has been extended from 2030 to 2032, aligning with the government's revised national target. Coverage progress as of June 2025 was 86.2% of Staffordshire premises have access to gigabit broadband, up from just 1% in 2018. The 85% milestone was reached 6 months ahead of schedule. Investment, well, it's been 226 million of private sector investment, 81 million of public funding has been committed, with 25 million already spent to connect 13,300 previously excluded premises. Project Gigabit, Staffordshire is part of the national Project Gigabit. It's received approximately £30 million to connect 11,000 hard-to-reach premises, in addition to the previous £16.6 million contract for the North East of Staffordshire. The council's worked closely with local communities, promoting voucher schemes, supporting demand-led projects, resulting in 2,093 households and businesses benefiting from full fibre upgrades. The mobile connectivity, again, the current Staffordshire ranked 22nd out of 96 in the UK areas for mobile coverage, with the EE providing the strongest signal. However, rural areas still experience coverage gaps. Let's not forget, we are a rural county. The Council is collaborating with mobile network operators and using real-time data to target investments to improve 4G and 5G coverage, supporting the government's goal to standalone 5G in all populated areas by 2030. Now, the analogue digital switch-off transmission from the analogue to the digital landlines is underway, with the revised completion date for 2027. For vulnerable users, the Council is actively communicating changes and supporting residents, especially those using telecare systems. Obviously, the old analogue phones will soon be digital, if those who did not know. The support is already in hand, especially for those that have existing services, and this really does affect the vulnerable. Digital inclusion. So I actually have had a good forward on the VR and Alexia pilots. The Council is piloting this virtual reality for skills development and this managed Alexa devices to combat social isolation in remote communities. It's a little bit more than it sounds on that. I personally thought it wasn't great what it sounded like on the tin. It does so much more than that. It really does do some great benefits. It's a little bit more than just putting a headset on and feeling socially included. It does great training, great interaction, can be a real benefit. The Innovation Food, a bid has been submitted for funding to support digital inclusion, focusing on the Institute of Technology-Enabled Solutions for Vulnerable Residents. The digital connector for economic growth, this digital connectivity is projected to deliver an uplift of 1.3 billion in gross value added by 2032. Yeah, that's a billion. It's over a billion of extra growth through this. Community benefits, the programme reduces that digital exclusion. Again, I'll say we are a rural county. Supports local SMEs and those micro businesses, the startups. It enables new services, delivery models, so in the healthcare and the public sector, productivity. Recommend to adjust the current approach and progress. The ongoing improvement supports the Council's digital first strategy. And hopefully very soon we'll have 100% gigabit coverage target by 2032 for Staffordshire. And again, I must emphasise, with so many villages and rural communities, that's no easy task for this county, and we're well ahead of schedule. So again, great work by all the officers at hand that have delivered this and the complexities for it all.
Thank you for your presentation, Councillor Murray. I open up for questions. Councillor Baker.
Thank you for that. I'm just wondering how we're doing in comparison to other councils. I don't know if you know the information yourself right now, but I assume we are ahead of target. I'm just wondering how are we doing compared to other councils? Are they doing really well or are they lagging behind?
I'd like to hand this over. As I say, this is not actually my under my portfolio, so I don't have that data straight to hand.
Yeah, hi. We're probably, I think we're third in terms of local authorities that neighbour us. So when we look at the Cheshire East, when we look at Shropshire, when we look at Derbyshire, when we look at Worcestershire and Warwickshire, in terms of the percentage of gigabit capable, then the gold standard in that is fibre, and we're about fifth in terms of those, so about fifth out of 9. So I'd like to say that we're leading, but as Councillor Murray suggested, we are quite a rural area, especially when you look at South Staffordshire and Staffordshire Moorlands. So we're certainly holding our own, but I wouldn't say we're number 1.
Councillor Tagg.
Thank you, Chair. Always welcome updates from the digital infrastructure team. Idris and Tony, I think obviously it was in my portfolio before May, so we have a good story to tell over the years. I think one thing you didn't say was we were obviously hampered and hindered on our rollout of this by not being in the procurement when we thought we would be. We were delayed, weren't we, which put us behind other authorities. I think just on that recommendation, so you consider and pass on the recommendation to Cabinet to amend the county's target to 100% gigabit capable broadband coverage in the county from 2030 to 2032 in line with the government's recently amended national target. It's just either the portfolio holder or deputy leader or the officer's view on that, because I know that we always know there's going to be a very small percentage where we're going to really struggle to get people online. There are, as you've touched on, voucher schemes, there are mobile 5G and all sort of ways we can give people access. But that 100% gigabit capability, may be the government's amended target, it's what we certainly aim for, but just officers' view on actually reaching that. Okay, it's no longer 2027 or 2028, 2030 to 2032, we have more time. But what is the realistic assumption and analysis of that pledge that we are asking Cabinet to make?
Yeah, hi, Councillor Tagg. You'll be aware that in the last financial review, the government put out the target from 2030 to 2032. At the moment, Project Gigabit has about £1.9 billion associated with it. They've suggested that there's another 1.8 billion associated with getting that, with the view that overall they were looking at 5 billion, I think, so the finances, they've pushed that out by 2 years. I think it's the ambition, it's the aspiration to get 100%. Whether we get that to be all fibre, as we talked about, you know, we are a very rural county, but using things like fixed wireless access, using things like the 5G network, and even using things like Starlink for satellite, should mean that we get towards 100% access by 2032. So in answer to your question, I think the target's realistic. What we use as that technology, and then one of the things that the committee might want to consider is that when you have fibre put into your house, a typical contract might be £32 a month. When you have it delivered via satellite, it's something more like £75 a month. So there might be an economic implication in that, Councillor Tagg, but I think the aspiration to 100% by 2032 is realistic.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
I think that's good news. I think also, but we have to be aware we aren't delivering this, are we? It's actually a private sector rollout. We're just the coordinating authority, and also we have that money, as you say, the money to use to help fund those. I forgot what they're called now. The vouchers, that's it, yes, the vouchers for the for people to club together with neighbours to get a capacity to get a better connection if they're on a village right at the end of a lane or something, which we have plenty of those up in the north of the county, I'm sure other members will say, and that's where we get the complaints about through poor connections. And we have had issues, as you know, Idris, in Madeley, for example, and Betley, parts of Newcastle, where they see just over the border in Cheshire East, where they've gone forward with the procurement and the contract before Staffordshire, as I talked about later, we were delayed. They see their connections going in just over the border, whereas in Madeley and Betley, they're in the next stage. So I think we just got to be aware of that. People's expectations will be raised by this as well, but I'm sure you'll be working hard to deliver that, and I'm sure this committee will support you in all you can on the administration in delivering that 100%.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Yes, my question is, how is value for money being assessed in contracts awarded to Connect Fibre and Open Reach? Thank you.
In terms of value for money, the contracts are let centrally by an arm's length organisation that has now been put back into the Department of Science of Innovation and Technology. So they put the contracts out, so they went out to market, and a value for money piece of work is done for every contract. So we have the Staffordshire Moorlands. If you have a look at the report up there, you know, there's about 5,500 premises, £16.5 million on top of the private sector investment to be getting that. If you have a look at the typical cost of delivering into, if I can put it, a normal household, say in Stafford, right, it's between about £300 and £500. Right, in some of the rural areas, it's in excess of £10,000 to deliver a piece. So as Councillor Tagg mentioned before, right, when you have a look at the 99%, most of those will come in under the £10,000 but above the £500. So that's where the subsidy is. After the £10,000, that's when we'll look at other delivery mechanisms.
Councillor Bentley.
Thank you for this. I'm not that technical, but what I saw over the last 2 years at where I live is there's different companies digging the same road up to go past one another. So we had Virgin dig it up 1 week, then BT Openreach dig it up the following, within months, and one dug the pavement up and one dug the road up. But what I was quite concerned was that they only got to the same distance. If they'd have worked together, they would have gone further up the road. Well, like you said, to the more rural few houses further up. So do we have any power over that? So like the planning of it. And then we did have Virgin at our house. And I was quite concerned how many people turned up to put this small cable in that was already in the pavement. So just felt like when you said about the figures, I could understand why we're running away with some of these figures, and I don't know if we can do anything better on that one.
So in terms of the two operators, they have their own network already in place. So Virgin have the old cable network, BT have their own telephone network and own ducting. So they have permitted development rights to go basically through and upgrade their network as they move along. That's why you hence see them doing that work separately on different networks. And that will be their own commercial investment, not public expenditure. So they'll be doing that at their own cost for commercial gain. And so there is an aspect around disruption to the highway. You'll see in the report we have something called the Staffordshire approach, which is where we work with all the network operators around ensuring they coordinate with us, they get planning, and then they come to us to get permits to actually undertake this work. So while they can go ahead and do it, they still have to ask permission. And we have a code of practice that effectively in that where we work together to minimise disruption, agree standards of reinstatement and things like that. And so we work closely with the highways team around that in terms of what they're able to do. Of course, the disruption brings a benefit. So where we see multiple offers from different network providers in a locality, you see the cost of internet services come down significantly. So if you only have one operator, you'll be paying top dollar in the market, whereas if you get two or three, then it can be 50% less than what you'd be paying previously. So longer term, that pain can be worth it in terms of the technology. A lot of when you do see numbers of people deploying technology, because the fibre technology it's a brittle cable, and so if you're bringing it from posts or up to the ground, then there's only so much manoeuvrability and flexibility you have with it. So therefore, you can't drop it on the floor because it will fracture inside, and just like stuff like that. That's why you tend to see numbers of people there. And people with different roles as well. So some of them might be more manual stuff about, creating the what's it called, the trench and things like that, as opposed to people who install then the hub and the router and things like that in the home. So that's potentially why you're seeing some of that as well underground.
Can I just add a point, obviously, with the implementation, it does go across all, but especially with the fibre. It's part of our new highway strategy. We put it in so we actually start to work and look ahead and work together with this. Councillor Mason has put in there, give us notifications so they do not come along and dig up a road that has just been laid. But also, by giving us pre-knowledge of preset works, they can even come when the road is already pre-dug up. That means they can lay it and be more efficient and cause cost savings. It's part of the highways plan, highway strategy. It's in there. We've even made comments that when we do large projects like the 5500, can we lay the piping in there ready to go through, so it's future-proofed, whatever's ready. So when we have these informal cabinet meetings, the discussions early on, we are bringing these points up every single time to bring through future efficiencies, less disruption, better service, future-proofs on all these topics.
Any more questions? Councillor Beardsmore?
That's really good to hear, because where I am, I've got quite a few areas that are really rural, and you've probably got 3 or 4 houses down a lane that's 2 miles long, and a lot of the constituents have been in touch with me about the lack of internet connection that they can get, and one of the areas is due to be one of the roads is due to be dug up next year. That Severn Trent Water are putting a new water main in, I'd like to know really if they are doing work like that, would there be an opportunity for the new internet cable to be put in at the same time? Do we work together with that sort of company, you know, to look at actually reaching those rural areas?
No is the quick answer, all right? And the reason for that, and just developing Tony's answer a little bit, I spoke to the finance director at VX Fibre, who'd done most of Stoke-on-Trent, and his view was, if you were the first organisation to be delivering, it's normally Openreach or BT if you like, right? You're going to make money because people will sign up. And if you're the second or third organisation delivering infrastructure, you might make money. If you're the fourth or the fifth, you won't make money. So these plans are very commercially sensitive. So if somebody was to say, right, we're going to follow Severn Trent, I think you mentioned, then they would all want to probably do that. But also Severn Trent would then say, well, actually, if you're going to do that, we'd want some money ourselves. So typically they haven't worked together. It doesn't mean to say that they shouldn't, right? But they haven't, and we haven't really no powers to say that you must.
Can I just say, it is something we've asked, we've brought up. It's complex, there's contractual, there's advantages to markets, as just been pointed out. But it would be nice if we can get people to work together more often. Another point with that is obviously the telegraph poles they put up. Now, when we came in, they were just, no notices going up. A notice was put up on the opposite side of the street, so nobody knew it was happening. It was one of the things Peter Mason did earlier on, because Tamworth, there was just, post was coming up outside. Sometimes actually crossing go on their driveway a little bit. They'd wake up, they come home from work and also there's a post there. He's made so they are fully notified, that they are put in considerate places, not just measured and put in place. So that there is conversations to be had where they'll work very collaboratively. Just a simple conversation, it starts to work, and that's already been put in place for that. It's still work in progress.
Councillor Bentley.
And mine's on the similar topic to Sue's, but not actually putting the actual broadband in, like you said yourself, the first, second and third, but actually as a county councillor, people working on our roads, we insist that a ducting goes in, that's our ducting in our road, and then we decide what goes up that ducting in the future. So that's something, might be a way around it in my mind. So they put the water pipe in, they put the ducting in, they haven't got really worry about it too much, it's got a pull line in, and then going forward, people contact you to put whichever they want up the ducting. Thank you.
Yeah, typically any work on the highways team does, they do put in sort of passive ducting. That's in there already, so that when people come along, need to get across a highway junction where we've installed some new traffic lights or new junction, there will be ducted in the ground already to prevent that being dug up, and that's freely available to operators to utilise as well. There is also about passive infrastructure and things like that, so Openreach, all of its network and ducting is available for all the other operators to use. So as the first port of call as any commercial organisation, they will go and explore the easiest way to get that fibre deployed. So if there's already ducting there that BT have or he have, they will then use that. It's only then when they can't find the route way, then what's the next alternative to that. So we do encourage people to obviously contact us to find out where there is.
Councillor Bentley.
That makes sense, and I can guarantee you I understand you're doing it. But like say on a project like Councillor Beamore said, where I don't know, for whatever reason they're digging a 2-mile stretch of road to put a new water main in, you can guarantee there'll be no ducting in that. So that's probably the time to do them lengths, isn't it? That's what I'm saying. It's slightly different than the short bits across the road. I saw that the other week actually, where the new Aldi's going. They dug halfway across the road, and then they found the ducting because he said we'd already put it in ready because we knew we were coming back. But that was for themselves. what Councillor Beamore's saying and I'm saying is if there is a long plan to get to a village for we've just had new gas pipes, but like I say, we're a bit more town than Councillor Beamore. But you know, deductions are what I'm trying to say, and I think that would work, wouldn't it? That'd be a perfect opportunity for a very cheap outlay.
Yeah, I suppose that's something for us to take away, really, is working with the highways team, is to the permitting. When we know there's large-scale infrastructure from other utility companies going in, is to actually liaise with the other fibre network companies who we know may be going to areas to say this activity is underway, and therefore if you do have plans to go there, and we're aware where plans are to go, then it'd be worth collaborating with the other utility companies to deploy your infrastructure at the same time and minimise disruption.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll go on to the recommendations. So I recommend that the committee, A, endorse the update and approach being taken in deploying the digital infrastructure strategic framework. B, note the further areas of consideration and improvement being developed in support of the Council's overall digital first strategy. C, consider and pass on the recommendations to Cabinet to amend the County Council's target for 100% gigabit capability broadband coverage in the county from 2030 to 2032, in line with the government's recently recommended national target. Can I have someone to move that motion, please? And a seconder, thank you. Okay, I will now pass over to Jacob to give us a work programme update.
Thank you. So there's been quite a few updates since the last meeting. The environmental strategy is a work programme item scheduled for the 17th of November. The Joint Archives Service annual report, following a recommendation from the last meeting of committee, will be received in the next municipal year. There is actually a mistake, it should say 26-27, so that will be corrected and recorded in the minutes. The library strategy will be received by committee on the 18th of December 2025, and there will also be a briefing on the 16th of February before it goes to Cabinet. Both the local nature recovery strategy and the natural environment strategy and biodiversity report have been moved from the 20th of November to the 29th of January. National highways, this follows the meeting back in September. There will be a briefing outside of committee on the 12th of November to discuss the M6, M54 link road. Sorry, that was July, not September. The meeting's recommendations. And there is another petition that's due to go to committee. That's Councillor Pert's petition entitled Protect Our Town from Overdevelopment, and that will be received on the 20th of November. I've also pointed out the fact that following the meeting on the 25th of September with regards to the pump track petition, that this has been referred to Cabinet, and there will also be a site visit to Staffordshire History Centre on the 29th of January at 2 p.m. Just to also draw your attention to some appendices, so we had the notes of the site visit to the Highways Lab, as well as summary information that was provided during that visit, as well as further questions and answers that were submitted after the meeting on the 25th of September with respect to the Joint Archives Service annual report.
Has anybody got any questions? Okay, thank you. Now move on to exclusions of the public, of which there are none. And go on to item 9, which is the date of the next meeting. The date and time of the next meeting is Monday, the 17th of November 2025 at 2 p.m. County Buildings, Stafford. I'd like to thank everybody for their contribution. Thank you.